Hi guys, Leo at the Supersport Shed. So this is the engine that's come out of the bike that I posted a reel earlier on the week, and it's leaking oil from the base gasket. It's leaking from in here, and you can see the base gasket just looks really crappy. It's really poking out. So we're going to take it off. You'll also notice we did a video about camchain tensioners, and there's a couple of comments. Can we change the camchain tensioners in the bike? Now you can change it in the bike. I know people who change base gaskets with the engine still in the bike, hanging off the lower rear bolt. For us, we're really lucky. I have James. We have a fairly good sized workshop. We've got loads of benches. The extra 10 minutes of taking the engine out might mean that you don't drop a bolt down into the bottom of the sump. You know, stupid little things like that happen. If you haven't got someone to help you lift the engine or help you get it out, you've got to work with what you've got. So yeah, so we've got it out on the bench, and I'm just going to run through some pointers of getting to the point where you can change those camchain tensioners. And basically, we're going to be taking the cams out. It's something that we do to strip all our engines down. You know, it's just one of those things, and it's not straightforward, but once you've done it a couple of times, it's really easy. So basically, we're going to start by taking off the covers, your crank cover, so we can turn the crank, the cam caps on both sides. We'll take off the rocker cover and the tacho drive, and obviously the cam covers on this side. We're not going to worry too much about taking this cam cap off yet, because there's nothing behind it that we need. Just on a note, again, if your bike's running a bit rough, you've done carbs, it's always worth taking this cover off, and in here is your advance and retard, and then you can set your timing. So we see some bikes where they're just running a little bit rough and the timing's just out, change, stretch. So yeah, I'm going to get some tools and I'll crack on. Right, so now the cam caps and the crank covers off. Just loosen this up a little bit. And I'm also going to take off my tacho drive. Again, this engine is lovely, it's original, but we do sell these new bolts. And especially if you've had your engine painted or you've just rebuilt it, shiny new tacho bolts instead of some random cross-headed piece of rubbish is always nice. Again, you can see the seals in not a great condition. We're going to be replacing that as well. We have those on the shelf. They come in our seal kit, but we also sell those and the O-ring individually. One thing I'm just going to briefly talk about is the tacho drive. There's lots of different views on the tacho drives on CBXs, but basically, when you get to this stage, you need to take it out. We see loads of bikes where clients don't take them out, other mechanics don't take them out, they turn the engine over with the cam cover off, and they're not supported, and they crack the holder. Now, people say it's where the metal's old. Yes, the metal is old, but ultimately, this is supported in the tacho cover, and when it's not, it does move. Yeah, there's only a thin little pin on the end, and it does just shear these off. We see it time and time again, as I said. So just something, once you get to this stage, take it out. It will save you a lot of money. Another thing, when you're taking your cam cover off, hopefully this one has been siliconed or Honda bonded onto the bottom of the valve, onto the top of the valve cover. But something we quickly do once we've undone it a little bit, it's just with a small flat bladed screwdriver, is just pop these out here, and it stops it pulling off. Now, as some of you will know and some of you won't, when you're putting it back together, you need to put Honda bond or free bond on the bottom of these to stop it leaking. We do it on all of ours, and it just stops it leaking. There's oil that sits in there. So this has been very well stuck on with silicone. not by its current owner, I may say. I will continue to take it off. And then just like that, after all the squeaking stops, the gasket can come off. And it is very well siliconed on. As you can see, it's all falling off. We'll give it a clean up. We'll get all this mastic off because it looks like bathroom sealer or something, and we'll put some proper free bond on. You can see there the squeaky ones are all broken. We'll probably just quickly replace these damaged tappets as well when we're putting it all back together. So now the cover's off, you can see the cams, and lots of people haven't seen this. Cams go round, the buckets go up and down, and this is where you would adjust your valve shims as well. This isn't the correct position, but you get it. You adjust it here, and again, if we're doing valves, sometimes if I'm feeling really lazy, I just take the engine out. Sometimes it's just that much easier. But going back to the tacho quickly, you can see here, this is really thin around here. And with this in here, you can see how small the locator is. And it has a bit of movement. But with the pressure of the cam turning, when you turn the cam, it does just pop here. It does just pop out. Metal fatigue could be part of it, but there's no reason to keep it in. Take it out, put it away. It is one of the first and last things we take out and put in of an engine rebuild. And there has been times where we've completely forgotten to put them back in. And these things happen. So I'm just gonna set the engine up, ready to show you where to start taking the cams out. So we're ready to go. We wanna make sure that cams on cylinder 1 are facing inwards, the spark plug, and that is on the T mark on there. Now the factory service manual tells you to take out these cam journals, cam caps, not cam journals, and loosen a load of other things. Now we don't do that. You don't need to take these cam journals off quite yet, but factory service manual. So the first thing I'm going to do is just loosen the cam chains. So I've got a bit of movement, and then I'm going to start by taking off number 1, taking these ones off, and then taking off this left-hand inlet cam. Quick thing to note when taking off this oil rail is that the bolts are longer. There's 4 longer bolts, and the bolts that go on the oil rail when you haven't got the guide, like this little protector, have a little washer on them. Have a little washer, so that has to go on there, and that just means that everything goes down level. So just a quick little note there. Around a bit for that, lovely. So the cams are ready to come out. Obviously we've done it like this, or the factory manual tells you to do it like this, because none of the valves are under tension, and you can see here number 4 inlet valves are pushed down. You're not going to bend the cams, but it stops the potential risk. So cams are out, and again, one of the things that makes the shed a bit unique compared to some people, I'm not saying everyone, is that we will measure everything. Everything gets measured, so your crank gets measured. So we're going to measure all these cams, we'll measure the journals, the load, and make sure they are still within factory tolerance. We can just about source you a lovely set of cams that aren't in factory tolerance, that are in factory tolerance, but looking at these, they look quite good. There's an inlet back cam, again looking good. We look at all the journals, make sure they're all nice. There is a slight nick in that one, but I think it will be fine. Right, now the cams are out, I'm just going to show you these. Now these are called Oldham couplers. And some people put oversized ones in, some people put undersized ones in. Now the oversized ones are meant to stop the chatter of the cams. Make as much noise as you want, James. We are a working workshop. But it is really keen to take these out. Because what happens, and we see it a lot, people have left them in, forgotten they're in or they're tight, they've turned the engine around, they've fallen and they've caught and they've damaged the edges here. We do see it. There's not a lot more you can do, but it's a nice easy thing. Just make sure they are taken out. Right, what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn the engine again so that the lobes on number 6 cylinder are facing inwards, the same as we were on number 1. So I'm going to turn the engine, round, round, round we go. Ugh. And always turn your engine clockwise, because this is the way it's meant to turn. And again, it sort of sets into a non-compressed state. And we're going to start with the rear, same as the front, helpful ahead. And just quickly whip the rear out. So now the rear cam is out on 4, 5 and 6. It's time to do the front cam. Now you need to take out cam cap number 5. Again, the factory service manual tells you to take out number 4, number 5, number 13 and number 12. I do it as I go along, hold the cam a bit easier. So again, handy little trick if you don't know, these threaded bolts that hold the cam cover on, you can put your bolts in and pulls them off. So, gonna move you over there, around out the way so you can see what I'm doing. So the next thing to do is to loosen this cam sprocket bolt. Now again, you need to take off number 5. I use a nut runner. You could try and get a socket on, you could use a spanner, but you want something with a decent enough purchase, and there you go, it's just gone. Just loosen it, don't take it out. And again, you can see it's loosened, it's spinning round, and I tighten it back up. And again, these are quite nice. And then you've got to turn the engine over to get to the other side. Ugh. Just like that. And then we're going to actually take this one out. Ugh, just like that. Now, I know some people will do this and round them off, make a bit of a mess of it. If you're going to completely strip your engine down, you could cut the chain with a chain rivet tool if these get done. Now, we have these on the shelf. Depending on the condition of them when we rebuild an engine, we do replace them. These are in incredible condition. The engine has apparently only done 7,000 miles, so we won't be replacing these. So once that one's off, you then turn your engine back clockwise again. Round we go. Oh, you hit the compression stroke and then it'll pop nice and gently back out the compression. I'm going to do this one, like so. And then I will continue to take out this cam. And hey presto, the last cam comes out. Sprocket comes out and your cams are off, just like that. So now the cams are out, you can see your Camchain tensioners, B tensioner and A tensioner. Going back to the question that was on the YouTube channel, there's no reason you can't do this in the bike. James has currently dropped this engine down to replace a leaky cam cover gasket. You could do this with it like that. We just purely find it easier to do it like this. So again, if you were to take your cams out, cam tensioners out, the B just comes out with this bolt here. And then down here, there's a tensioner bolt. you need to loosen this nut first and then the bolt. It's a locking nut. Standard OEM spec, that will be a 14mm spanner, and this is the 10. Sometimes these are all a bit mashed up. There's a little O-ring in there that we also can supply. We do have remanufactured bolts. If yours is broken, we also have Camchain tensioner bolts. So that is how you take the B tensioner out. Now again, if you haven't dropped your engine down enough and your carbs are still on, you will struggle at this point. To get the A out, you need to take this nut and copper washer off and undo this bolt. Once those are out, it will just come off. Again, you'll see on the bike that James is working on that it's borderline impossible. I can't even see them. So again, it's something you need to be looking at doing. If you think your A tensioner's gone, just whip your engine out. Chances are if it's gone, there's something else. But again, we're going to look at these tensioner blades, but again, 7,000 miles, I won't be looking at changing them. I'm going to continue on taking his head out, take the barrels off and get down to the base gasket.